Hi, my name is Graham Smith, and I'm one of the authors that helped develop the learning approach to mathematics that is found in our textbook as well as the video you are about to experience. To learn more about our approach to learning mathematics, visit the web address that accompanies this video. Now, enjoy the video. Dividing whole numbers. This video will help you understand the basic division facts, perform long division with the remainder, estimate quotients, and divide by a large number. Basic division facts. We can use multiplication to help us learn the basic division facts. For example, to find the answer to 48 divided by 6, we can take a look at the corresponding multiplication problem, and we can find 6 times what is going to give us 48. Well, since 8 times 6 gives us 48, we can answer the division problem that 48 divided by 6 is going to give us an answer of 8. Division with 0. Be very careful when there is a 0 in a division exercise. There are two possible answers when 0 is involved in a division exercise. The first is when 0 is divided by another number. When 0 is divided by another number, the result is always going to be 0. The second, when a number is divided by 0, the result is undefined. So let's take a look at a couple examples here. So here I have 0 divided by 6. Well, that is 0 being divided by another number, so I'm going to get an answer of 0. Now over here in the next example, I'm trying to divide 8 by 0, and we cannot divide by 0. That is going to give us an answer of undefined. Now, let's take a look at a couple corresponding multiplication problems to see why this happens. So let's start over here on the first one. So if 0 divided by 6 is going to be 0, then I should be able to take 6 times 0, and that should give me this answer over here of 0. And sure enough, it does. If I take 6 times 0, that is going to give me an answer of 0. So that one will work. Now let's come over to the one that's undefined. Well, I should be able to take this number and whatever number goes here and multiply those together. So this mystery number here, we'll put a box there, and that should give me an answer of 8. And you can see that I can't take any number in this box. If I take that number and I multiply it times 0, it's going to give me an answer of 0. It will never give me 8. So that is why when we divide or try to divide by 0, we get this answer as undefined because there aren't any answers that make sense. Now let's look at a definition. There are 3 different ways that we're going to write division problems. The first is the traditional division sign. And so let's take a look at some vocabulary. You start with the number that's getting divided. That's called the dividend. The number that is doing the dividing is called the divisor. And the answer to the division problem is called the quotient. Okay, the next format, the number that's getting divided in the long division symbol goes inside the box, inside the division box. That's the dividend. The number that's doing the dividing goes out front. That's the divisor. And our answer, which goes on top of the long division box, is the quotient. Finally, the last type of division is the fraction bar. Remember, the fraction bar means to divide. The number that's in the numerator of the fraction is the dividend, the number that's getting divided up. The denominator of the fraction is the divisor. And then when we do this division, the quotient goes over on the right side of an equal sign. Now it's time to check your understanding of basic division facts and division involving 0. Press pause on your video player and answer these guided practice questions. When you're done, hit play to see how you've done. Question 1. When 0 is divided by another number, the result is going to be 0. Question 2. When a number is divided by 0, the result is going to be undefined. Question 3. Write the division exercise 10 divided by 2 using 3 different division notations. Well, the first is with the division sign, 10 divided by 2. The second is in the long division format. 10 goes inside the box, 2 goes out front. Finally, the last one is using the fraction bar. 10 would go in the top, 2 would go in the bottom. Question 4. Answer each division exercise. 16 divided by 4 is going to give us 4. 64 divided by 8 will give us 8. 54 divided by 9 will give us 6. 4 divided by 0, remember that's not possible to do, so we say undefined, and usually the way we abbreviate that is just UND. And then next one, 0 divided by 4. Now we're dividing 0 into parts. That's going to give us an answer of 0. And the last one, 7 dividing into 56 is going to give us an answer of 8. Perform long division with the remainder. Often a divisor will not go into a dividend evenly. This results in a remainder. So example 5, I'm going to do this long division problem. Before I start though, I want to go over the steps. These 4 steps goes into, multiply, subtract, bring down. Those 4 steps keep repeating until we work our way all the way through the long division problem. Take a look over my example here. I'm going to go 4 into 58. Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to draw myself some lines to set this up. So I'm going to draw myself a couple of lines just to keep things organized here. So I'm going to start with the first step, which is goes into. So I'm going to say 4 goes into 5. Well, 4 goes into 5 one time. Okay, that's the goes into part. The next step is to multiply. And I'm going to multiply 1 times 4, which gives me an answer of 4. And I'm writing that below the 5. The reason I'm doing that is because the next step now is to subtract. So I'm going to subtract that 4 from the 5, which gives me an answer of 1. And now I go to the last step, which is bring down, which is to bring down the next digit. And so I'm bringing down this digit of 8. And now this whole process starts over again. We've got to the bring down thing. Since we're still dealing with some digits, we're going to go back to the top and start it all over again. Except now, instead of focusing up here, my focus is going to be down here in the division exercise. So I'll start these steps again. 4 goes into 18 4 times. Multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. Subtract. I get 2. And then the next step would be to bring down. However, there aren't any more digits to bring down, so I'm done with my long division problem. However, I have this 2 at the end, and 4 then, that tells me that 4 does not divide into 58 evenly, and I actually get a remainder of 2. Now it's time to check your understanding of long division with the remainder. Hit pause on your video player and answer the guided practice question. When you're done, hit play to see how you did. Guided practice 5. We're dividing 3 into 46. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some lines to keep my work organized. Now I'm going to start the process. 3 goes into 4 one time. Then I multiply 1 times 3, which gives me 3. I write that directly below the 4 because I'm going to subtract that 3 from the 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. Now I'm going to bring down the next digit and start the process over again. 3 goes into 16. 3 goes into 16 5 times. And now I'm going to multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. I'm writing that below the 16 because I'm going to subtract it. And when I subtract it, I get 1. There are no more digits to bring down, so I'm done with my problem. However, I have this 1 left over. So my answer is going to be 15, remainder 1. Estimate quotients. Being able to estimate a quotient will allow you to quickly check if an answer is reasonable because estimates make the division easy to perform. Let's take a look at example 6. I'm asked to estimate the quotient 12 into 580. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to round each of these numbers. So I'm going to get an estimate for 12, and I'm also getting an estimate for 580. What we're going to do is we're going to round each of these numbers to their largest place value. Well, with 12, that's the 1 is the largest place value, and so I'm going to round to the tens place. When I round 12 to the tens place, that's going to give me an estimate of 10. In 580, the largest place value is the 5. And so I'm going to round that number to the hundreds place. Well, 580 is closer to 600 than it is to 500. So I'm going to get an estimate of 600 there. Now that I have these estimates, I'm going to go ahead and perform the division. So I'm going 10 into 600. Well, This will actually be pretty easy now that I'm dividing by 10. 10 doesn't go into 6, but it will go into 60. It goes 6 times, which is 60 exactly. So when I subtract, I get 0. I would bring down the next 0, and 10 goes into 0 0 times. So my estimate for this division problem is somewhere around 60. If I was actually to do the real division here with 12 into 580, I should come up with an answer that's close to 60. Now it's time to check your understanding of estimating quotients. Pause your video player and answer guided practice 6. When you're done, hit play to see how you did. Question 6. Estimate 23 into 847. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get an estimate for 23 and also for 847. We're going to round these numbers to their largest place value. With 23, that's the 2. And so that is going to round to 20. With 847, that's the hundreds place, the 8. And so that is going to round to 800. So now we're going to perform that division with these estimates. 20 into 800. Keep it organized. 20 won't go into 8, but 20 will go into 84 times. And when I multiply, that's 80 exactly. Subtract, get 0. Bring down the next 0. 20 goes into 0 0 times. So an estimate for this quotient is 40. Divide by a large number. To divide by large numbers, we use the same long division procedure we use with smaller numbers. So in example 7, we're going to use the same long division steps that we've done with the smaller numbers to perform division with the larger numbers. So let's take a look now at 16 into 3,250. Well, the first thing we need to do is organize this a little bit. Okay? So I start. 16 will not divide into 3. So now I go 16 into 32. Well, 16 will go into 32 twice. 2 times 16 is 32. I'm going to subtract that. 32 minus 32 is 0. Now I'm going to bring down the 5. Well, 16 is not going to divide into the 5 because the 5 is too small. So when you run into this situation, after you've brought a number down, and the number out front will still not divide into that number because it's too small, you put a 0 up here, and then what we do is we go and we bring down the next number. So I'm going to bring down a 0 now, and so now I'm going to go 16 into 50. So 16 into 50 is going to go 3 times, and then 3 times 16, well, that may not be familiar, so let's just take a minute on the scratch paper, and we'll take 3 times 16. 3 times 6 is going to give us 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 more is 4, so that's 48. So when I take 3 times 16, it gives me 48. That's what I'm going to be subtracting here. And so now 50 minus 48 gives me 2. There aren't any more numbers to bring down, so I'm going to get a remainder of 2. So when I do this long division, 16 into 3,250, I get an answer of 203, remainder 2. Now it's time to check your understanding of dividing by large numbers. Hit pause on your video player and answer guided practice 7. When you're done, hit play to see how you did. Question 7. We're dividing 22 into 4,535. Notice I left myself a little space here so that I can draw those lines in to organize this. Okay, once we got the lines in there, we're ready to start. So let's see, 22 will not divide into 4, it's too small. So we're going to go 22 into 45. And let's see, 22 into 45 is going to go twice. And if I multiply 2 times 22, that's going to give me 44. So I write that down here to subtract it. When I subtract, I'm going to get 1. And now I bring down the next digit, which is the 3. Now, 22 will not divide into 13 because 13 is smaller than 22. So what I do is I put a 0 up here, and then I'm going to bring down the next digit, which is a 5. And so now I'm dividing 22 into 135. Well, we're going to have to use a little guess and check to figure that out. So my first guess maybe is 4. So let's try 22 times 4. Over on some scratch work. Let's see, when I go through and multiply by 4, I will get 8 and then 8, so I get 88. That is too small. I think I can go a little bit higher than that and get closer to 135. Let's see. 5 might not even be enough. Let's try 6 real quick and see how that goes. 22 times 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry the 1. 6 times 2 is 12 again, plus the 1 is 13. So 132, that's it. 6 is the number. So 22 is going to go into 135 6 times. And when I multiply, I'm going to get this 132, because I just did that multiplication. So that's what I'm going to be subtracting. 135 minus 132 gives me 3. So it looks like my answer is going to be 206, remainder 3.
If you found this video helpful, I encourage you to check out our other videos that we have on YouTube, or visit the web address that accompanies this video to learn more about our approach to learning mathematics.